Post. Thanks a lot and have a great weekend.
You too, Allison.
For more on the military angle of General Pace's potential recommendations, let's now turn to a Pentagon veteran. Reagan administration, the former Assistant Secretary of Defense, Lawrence Korb, who is now a senior fellow at the Center for American Progress. It's our pleasure to have you with us tonight.
Nice to be with you.
So do you think this is a sign the U.S. military is stretched too thin, sir?
Oh, it's way too thin. I mean, in order to maintain this surge, we're not allowing people to spend enough time at home before they go back. We've extended the tours from 12 months to 15 months for soldiers. This is something we didn't do in Korea or in Vietnam. And as a result, desertions are up, divorces are up, the suicide rate is up. Your West Point graduates are leaving in numbers not seen in 30 years.
According to this Los Angeles Times article, General Pace suggests cutting the forces by perhaps 50%. Do you think this would be enough to address other concerns should troops be needed elsewhere?
Well, it certainly would help, and it would allow the troops to spend enough time in between deployments. The social contract we have with the active duty people is for every year you spend in a combat zone, you should spend at least 2 years at home. They're not even, many of them not even getting 1 year, so this will help that and relieve the strain on them. Then it will provide you with a reserve. When this surge, actually right now we don't have a single brigade of the 82nd Airborne in the United States. They're our ground reserve. Even at the height of the Korean War, we always kept one brigade here to go someplace else.
Administration officials are quoted as saying the Joint Chiefs believe that an excess of 100,000 troops in Iraq would, quote, severely strain the military. That's what we've been talking about. Now, can someone come to this conclusion quickly? It's like saying, wow, I gained 50 pounds in the past week. I would think this view would have to be developed over time.
Well, but what has happened is if you go down to, even if you get down to 100,000, the fact is that you're still going to have to send many of the same forces back 3 and 4 times. And, you know, this administration was told 3 or 4 years ago, expand the size of the Army and the Marine Corps. They refused to do it because Rumsfeld had this notion you could fight wars without people. And now they finally have agreed to it, but it's really too late to relieve the strain on the people. So even 100,000 is going to be a terrific burden on the force that you have.
And I want to ask you a question that I asked David Milbank of the Washington Post. Based on the culture of the White House, the Pentagon, and the Joint Chiefs, if we're not leaving, would he be in a position to give this kind of bold advice, or would he have to be a good soldier and remain silent and supportive?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of people, when Rumsfeld was there, were not as forthcoming, not just with the president, but with the Congress. And we only had General Shinseki, the former Army Chief of Staff, was the only one who spoke up. I think it's a combination of General Pace leaving, plus Admiral Mullen, who will be taking over, is already on the Chiefs. He's the Chief of Naval Operations, and as Dana mentioned, he has been pretty outspoken ever since he got the job. So I think it's a combination of those things coming together.
Lawrence Korb with the Center for American Progress, thanks so much for your time tonight.
Thanks for having me.
President